One of my best friends was extremely involved in their church. It was a great church, active in the community, growing, exciting. They had joined the team, they loved it, and they were serving all the time. The church was their community, their support group, their family, their friends. After several years of serving, however, and great memories, one of the longtime elders got offended by something that was said, and it escalated to the point of asking my friend to take a break from serving. I don't know all the details. There's always two sides of every story. But they did take a break. They were hurt, but from what I saw, they seemed to have the heart of Christ. However, I remember them saying, listen to this, I remember them saying that the day they stepped out of serving was the day they lost their community, their family, their friends. Pastors and leaders they call lifelong friends stopped responding to texts. They never called, never checked on them. They completely moved on as if they had never existed. That's horrible. If I only love you for what you can do for me, then I never really loved you in the first place. I only used you. That's called spiritual prostitution. I don't want a relationship. I only want your services. That's wrong. And some of you guys may be saying, that's me. It happened to me. There is no hurt like church hurt. There is no hurt like church hurt, because churches and church leaders are supposed to be the hands and feet of Jesus, yet they're often the hands and feet of the enemy of Jesus. Just because someone calls themselves a follower of Christ does not mean that they even know Christ. Remember what Jesus said? People will know that we are His followers by our title, by what we do, no, by our love. I can put my name in this story, and so can many of you guys. So what are some practical steps we can take in dealing with church hurt? Here's 7. Number 1, go to God first. Go to God. Psalms 121 verse 1 says, I lifted my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? There's a question. My help comes from the Lord. There's the answer. The maker of heaven and earth. David realized his help did not come from others. For example, the hills, which were a symbol of strength and security. Instead, he said his help comes from the Lord. Going back to our last post, if you didn't see it, check it out. Go to God first and let Him be your counselor, your shepherd, your defender, and your healer. Number 2, forgive. I can't say it enough. Forgive, forgive, forgive. In Matthew 6:12, Jesus taught us to pray, forgive me as I forgive others. It has to start there. I forgive others because I've been forgiven. Me, the one who's also hurt others, offended others, used others. Matthew 6:15 goes on to say, if I do not forgive others, God will not forgive me. I don't have a choice. I have to forgive. I don't have to agree, nor am I saying that what they did was okay. It wasn't. It was wrong. But I have to release them to God. I have to forgive. Number 3, go to them and never to others. Matthew 18:15 says, if your brother or sister sins against you, you are to go to them and point out their fault just between the two of you guys. Only a small person goes to everyone else instead of going straight to the offender. Number 4, if needed, go up. The next step, if needed, go up. Matthew 18 goes on to say, if a one-on-one discussion doesn't go well, then go to others. However, when going to others, never go out, go up. If you're dealing with church hurt, going to others in the church isn't counsel, it's usually just gossip. Always go to their authority. They're the ones who can do something about the situation. I can ask my friends to pray, but that's it. Number 5, look to Jesus, not to people. Let's be careful not to put the face of our leaders on God as if that's who God is. Like I said earlier, just because someone calls themselves a Christian does not mean that they even know Jesus. We've all seen many people leave the church because of church hurt, but that's not who God is. Colossians 1:15 says, if you want to get a perfect picture of God, don't look to others, look to Jesus. He is the perfect reflection of God. Isn't that good? Number 6, encourage yourself in the Lord. In 1 Samuel chapter 30, we find the story of David after he had killed Goliath, but before he was crowned king. When the bad guys had burned his city, captured his family, as well as the families of his men, and his closest friends were ready to kill him, actually stone him. That's called a bad day. But in verse 6 of chapter 30, it says, David encouraged himself in the Lord. There's many times, lots of times in our lives when there is no one to lean on, no one understands, including our friends and family. But like David, in our weakness, we find strength in the Lord. 2 Corinthians 12:8. Number 7, and I'm done with this one. Let it go. Isaiah 43:18, one of my favorite scriptures, says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past." In the original language, it means do not give the past any thought at all or even try to understand what had happened. That's tough, I know. Here's an idea. A couple of weeks ago, I made a list of my church hurt offenders, as well as a list of those I felt like I offended, which was actually the longer list. I took that list outside, I prayed over it, and I literally burned it. For me, it was a prophetic memory that I could always go back to, forgetting the former things and not dwelling on the past. I encourage you guys to do something like that, whatever it takes. Write the list, burn the list, bury the list, blow it up, whatever it takes. I know it might sound impossible, but you can move on. Remember, according to Matthew 19:26, with God, there is nothing that is impossible. All things are possible. That is in the Bible, and the Bible is always right. I'll see you guys next time.